Hi folks, Ray here, your friendly neighborhood nerd. And what I've got for you today is this USB thumb drive, what I would call a poor man's laptop. It's my everyday carry for system administrator tasks. And if you do not know how to use one thumb drive with multiple ISO images, there is a video for you where I talk about how to do a stick with Ventoy. As I plug in the thumb drive, I get this drive here. It's the Ventoy drive where I got my CD images. You'll know the Windows image, maybe the Debian installer, but there's more. So what is this Clonezilla, you say? Clonezilla is a nifty tool for, cloning a PC, and let's dive into that. As you might have noticed, it's not the best way to show a screen using a camera, so we'll be using a virtual machine again. Our Clonezilla CD will boot here, and we should be ready to work with it. We're working with a live CD here, so nothing on your hard disk is altered until we specifically ask for it. There we go, we have a language to choose from. I'll prefer English. You can choose any language you want, but I mostly rock with English because it's the best translation. I've had some troubles in my past with flaky translations, and I've learned to stick to English. My keyboard is not English, so I would love to change that. Mine is German, and I'm going with the defaults here, so I've got all the umlauts in place. And there we go. We can start Clonezilla now, and this is how you work with it. It says device image. That's how you copy a device, which is a hard disk, to a file, which is the image. Or you could clone a disk to another disk. So that's pretty good. I'm choosing to work with a device image because I want to back up a hard disk. And a local device means we can plug in a USB thumb drive, a hard drive, wherever we want to back it up. The SSH server is something I'm gonna use. Samba is, the Windows network, Windows shares. NFS is Linux, shares, WebDAV, or even we could use an Amazon bucket, an S3 bucket. So Clonezilla is very versatile. As said, we'll use the SSH server here, and as it's a networking protocol that we're transferring over, it needs to, be online, and it asks us if we want to assign an IP address or if we want to use DHCP or whatsoever. Most people will use DHCP here because their router will automatically give them an address. And now it asks us for where to put the image. In my case, it is my NAS. There we go. Default port for SSH is 22, and this is a red flag for everyone who has watched my video about SSH usage. By the way, link up there. We're not gonna use the root user because it's blocked with a password, password usage, pardon me, and I've made a user and named it backup. There we go. And my directory I want to put stuff into is in mount, mypool, backup, and clone. There we go. Now it's asking me for the SSH connection if I accept that key, and it wants to know the password. There we go. Everything is confirmed, and we're in beginner mode. And that's where it says save disk or save partitions. I'm gonna save a whole disk, and it asks me for what I want to name it. I'm gonna call it Debian 11 because that's what it is. Usually I would append a date or something, but that's, well, for the tutorial's sake, it's okay. Here I can select the disks I want to back up, and I'm gonna use SDA only because SDB was the swap file only, so no need to back up that one. And I can use compression, which is a parallel compression, which is good for multiple CPU cores. That's what we have here. Or we can save some space by compressing it a bit better. I usually stick with the parallel gzip compression because it's faster, and there isn't that much of a difference in data usually. FSCK, that's the file system check. You could check it if you want to. I won't do that. And in case you're uploading it to an Amazon bucket, you can also encrypt it as shown here. I'm not going to encrypt it because it's just sitting on my LAN computer. And in the end, if we finished it, what can we do? We can shut it down, we can reboot the computer. I'll say, well, show me a menu and let me choose afterwards. So this is what the command would look like. We're good here, and we are sure that we want to do this. And now the cloning process starts. The timing here is pretty accurate, but nevertheless, I'm not gonna wait for it. So I will see you when the clone process is finished. There we go. We have successfully finished the clone process. That's the menu where it allows me to choose whether to reboot, power off, or even start over. So why cloning devices or disks? Well, it's pretty easy and obvious once you think about it. First of all, if you are migrating to a different hard disk, you can just clone the data over without having to reinstall your PC. On the other hand, you can have a backup of a state of the machine, so it is what it is, and you can jump back to that. A good, well, opportunity to try this out is right now. Your PC might be capable of running Windows 11, so you could take an image of the PC, upgrade to Windows 11, and once you're not satisfied with it, or if you're not satisfied with it, you can just revert to Windows 10 whenever you please, just by restoring the image. The next image I'm gonna talk about is dban. It's Derek's boot and nuke. Think about it. There are a lot of hard disks found all over the world where there's still data on it, even if people have formatted it, which means they just deleted the index. Well, dban is a good way to really nuke a disk by overwriting it with jump from the first sector to the last one, so it is afterwards really unreadable, or you need to do really a lot of stuff to get at least something out of it. So make sure if you run that one, you know what you're doing. So the trick with dban is simply to destroy data and destroy it for good. In my line of work, I usually kept an old, rather dated PC somewhere, and I just plugged the disks I wanted to throw away onto in this computer and let dban do its good work. And once it was done, I took the hard disk, now empty, out and, you know, threw it away. So the next tool we are looking at is the System Rescue CD, or sysresc CD. It's a live CD where you can run, you can boot your computer where, let's say, there's a Windows problem, it doesn't boot and you want to rescue some data or you want to resize disks. And it's a nifty thing that allows you to do those tasks. If you type in start X, you get a graphical environment just like this. It detects network, it gets you a Firefox browser, and you can, of course, do stuff with disks like resizing or moving if you feel so, if you want to do so. Well, what else can you do with this thing? I tend to look at the disks, mount those disks, and copy data off to a secure place. What else is there? You even have a password manager, and it's a nifty tool to do rescue jobs, to rescue data, and even more. But wait, this system runs as root. The desktop runs as root, all the programs run as root because the partitioning tools, they need the permissions to do so, to do stuff. That's why they need to be root. And that is dangerous. So you don't want to use that system for writing Office documents. You don't want to use it as a daily driver because that is dangerous. So that's for rescue jobs only. So that was the system rescue CD used for rescuing tasks on the system to salvage data. You can even reset the Windows SAM, the security database with it, and reset a password. So, you know, once somebody has access to a machine, you're toast. That's why most laptops are encrypted by default and to limit the damage. The next system or image on the list is Tails, which is a security-focused Linux distribution that works around anonymity. You don't need to talk to me about VPNs and how to use those. We're talking about the Onion router network. The paranoia level of the Tails system is amazing, I have to say. It even detects if you're running it in a virtual machine and will warn you accordingly. There we go, we're booting. And the first thing it wants us to do is get our locales straight. What I will do is just change the keyboard layout, because the language, I don't wanna sting out, if you get the idea. Tails is all about anonymity, and the system might recognize things. There you get the warning, you can connect to the Onion router network, and there we go. I won't give you an introduction to the darknet, because that is not what we're here to, and that's not really what I use it for. I use it to check my own configuration, to have some external access without having to connect to my own systems. I sometimes also use it when I'm in a hotel, just to get around their firewall and do my stuff. But keep in mind, the Onion router network is about anonymity, and this is like blending in with a crowd. That is why I usually do not resize the browser. This is just, you know, trying to be as everyone else, and so you can't track down one single person. That was our Tails image. And anonymity is, well, it's a tool, you know? And so is the darknet. It is what people do with it. A tool is never evil. It's how people use it. And anonymity per se is something I value for doing some research. Sometimes I value it for just connecting home to my systems, and I want to see how they look like in Japan or wherever you are on the world. The Onion router makes this possible, and keep in mind, Tails does not save any data. The last image on the stick that's left to talk about is the infamous Kali Linux. Kali Linux is a system for penetration testing, which means that you can try to hack into your own systems. That's its purpose. Sadly, people are often targeting other systems like their neighbor's Wi-Fi for taking advantage of them. And that's not good. That's why I won't give a demonstration about this. But that's the last image on my stick. I hope you've got some inspirational ideas. And that's it for today. Ray signing off.